Hey guys, I'm Dimension Jumper. Today we're doing my top 5 Zelda games that new fans should play. Now, with the recent release of Skyward Sword HD, there's obviously going to be a lot of new players that's going to be playing this game and experiencing Skyward Sword for the first time that older Zelda fans like myself have played when Skyward Sword was originally released back in 2011. And I thought, why not make a video about the top 5 games that, new players should have a go at and play for themselves. So for number 5 is Link's Awakening. More specifically the remake. Now this game, I feel like it's a game that's very nice. It's one of those games that, even though it doesn't have some of the same tropes as some other games, like Ganondorf, the Triforce, Zelda, it still has that Legend of Zelda quality to it. So you've got dungeons, bosses, heart pieces, items, Link himself, and that sort of thing. And Link's Awakening is I think it's one of those games it's a nice jumping off point if you want to have some combat fun, if you want to go through dungeons, fight bosses, that sort of thing. And yeah, I think the art style and the gameplay and the graphics for the remake version is really nice, and it has that sort of graphic and colors that brings you in and you want to play it because of how the art style looks. And I really enjoyed this. I think this is a game that new players should play and get to experience for themselves. And I think the main story for this is basically Link trying to awaken the wind with a windfish, so that he can go back to his own reality. It's a nice story, but it's also a sad one, because that means not only does Link go back to reality or back to his own time, but that does mean that the whole of the island that he's on disappears, as well as the people that he's befriended there, and all of the animals, the wildlife, that sort of thing. And it's one of those hauntingly mesmerizing games, if I'm putting it into words. For number 4 is Twilight Princess. Now, Twilight Princess, I think it's an enjoyable game, and it's I think a game that has a lot of nice and cool elements to it. Like, for instance, you've got the wolf ability, which I think is quite nice, because you can. It's basically two sides of the same coin, because you've got the sword combat and the wolf combat. Now, with the sword combat, it's basically simple. You just whack a few enemies until they die. But with the wolf combat, it's basically very different and very Zelda, because with the wolf combat, you basically just have to either bite, spin attack, or use Minder's multi-hit combo attack. And that's really cool and interesting. And I do like the style and tone of where the story is going, because this is more of a sort of darker storyline, kind of like how Majora's Mask did. And it's kind of like where Breath of the Wild 2 is going in terms of its story. And I think it's a nice sort of dark story that has Link going throughout Hyrule, finding mirrors of the Twilight, shards of the Mirror of Twilight, or trying to find a way to defeat Zant, or that sort of thing. And even though Ganondorf is a bit forced into this game towards the end, the rest of the game is really well played out. It's really awesome, and I think it's a game that new players should probably play. The only downside is that if you want to play the original version or the HD version, you will have to play. You have to get a Wii U and get the HD version, and stuff like that. So that's kind of on the downside, because a lot of Zelda or Nintendo fans, especially if there's a lot of new ones, might possibly have a Switch or something. But hopefully, I hope that Nintendo will one day do a 3D collection, so hopefully Twilight Princess is a part of that. For number 3 is the Legend of Zelda 3D, well, it's 3D remake to be more precise. And this is a decent game. I think it's a really nice and enjoyable game, because it's got a lot of elements that we have seen throughout the Zelda series, like, the Master Sword, Ganondorf, saving the Seven Sages, that sort of thing. And it's a really interesting and great game. I think a lot of the items are really well used in this game, like the bombs, the hook shot, the boomerang, the bow and arrow, those kinds of items. And there are a lot of really nice and enjoyable bosses that you can fight throughout the game. You've got Phantom Ganon, you've got Goma, you've got Dodongo, you've got Ganondorf himself, and I think the bosses really do as one of the things that makes this game great, because they are all different, they're all unique, and they all have their own different boss rooms and playstyles in which you have to fight them. And yeah, and also with the 3D itself, on the 3DS we have to turn the 3D on and off. I think it's good. If you want to use a 3D every now and again, but don't have it on all the time. Have it for 2 to 3 minutes, because I have heard that it will hurt your eyes if you keep the 3D on for a really long time. So have the 3D on for a few minutes and then turn it off again if you feel like you've had it on for a long time. But don't leave it on too long, because your eyes will hurt. From what I've heard. But apart from that, I think that Ocarina of Time 3D is an enjoyable game. I think it's one of those games that every Zelda fan should play at least once, and then see how they enjoyed it. So yeah. For number 2 is the original Hyrule Warriors. Now, there will be some Zelda fans saying, "Oh, that's not a Zelda game, that's a spin-off." But this game does have a lot of Legend of Zelda things in it that's brought into this game. So you've got the bosses, there's some of the characters, some locations from previous games, and just and I think this is one of those games that new fans should 100% play, because this game, even though it doesn't follow, it isn't placed in any of the timeline, is one of those games that catches people up to speed in terms of how the main plot of every Zelda game is played. So Link has to defeat Ganondorf, there's always the Master Sword, there's always Zelda, there's always a final boss you have to fight, that sort of thing. And yeah, I think that the main plot of the game is really enjoyable. It's a nice sort of Zelda-y game that's in a spin-off, and also there's all the extra content you can do in the game, like the battle maps, the upgrading of people's combo attacks and special attacks, that sort of thing. And I think this is a really nice, enjoyable game that everyone, all new Zelda fans should play. Kind of like Ocarina of Time 3D, in which you should really, really play, and and you can enjoy all of the things that this game has to offer. And for number 1 is The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword HD. Now, this was recently announced, or not announced, released, and it's a game that is really fun and enjoyable, because it has one of those. It's basically a game that every fan or every Zelda fan should play and get to experience of how everything came to be in the Zelda series. So Hyrule, the Triforce, the Master Sword, Link, Zelda, Ganondorf, that sort of thing, and experience how everything came to be. And I think this is a really nice and enjoyable game, and it's a fun one. It's a game that it's fun and enjoyable. And even with the HD version, that everyone who hasn't played the game will be able to play and experience all of the things that was in this game. So how the Master Sword was forged, how Link was able to become the chosen hero, how Ganondorf was able to be introduced in the Zelda series, that sort of thing. And I think it's just one of those nice, fun games that it will have you have a fun time while playing, and I think it's a really enjoyable time. So yeah. So that's been my top 5 Zelda games that all new fans should play. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.